time. Because I just remember she took me to this party one time, and they said that I had to let this snake crawl on me. It was like a huge snake. It was like a boa constrictor or something. It was big. And they were like, you have to let the snake crawl on you. And I was just like, really innocent person, because I didn't want to be innocent, if that makes any sense, but I was. And and I was very socially isolated most of my life, so I really just didn't talk to very many people. I mean, even when I was doing jobs, I was a very talented person, and so I would get these jobs, but I wasn't an extremely social person, so I just wasn't out there being extremely social. So, I mean, there wasn't anything that I could have done that would have, I just wasn't even involved. But I had this, anyway, this girl took me to a party where they were like, well, everybody that comes to our house has to let the snake sit on their lap or whatever. And this snake, like, went around my neck. And I just remember that was kind of weird. I don't know what that means, but I have heard recently talk about a brotherhood, the Brotherhood of the Snake. And I did do a show later on. A couple of years later, I did a show, and one of the numbers that we did in the show, which the number, when I say numbers, I mean like you do like a song. When you're in musical theater, your songs are called numbers. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know how to explain it, but I guess some people don't know that. Anyway, one of the numbers that we did was a song called There Is a Brotherhood. And I don't really remember the lyrics, but I was basically the main character of that particular number. It was all focused around me. We all had, like, the whole cast. I think it was like, I don't remember how many of us were in the cast. That was a smaller cast. But we all had, you know, like different numbers that we did where we were the lead singer of, and I was the lead singer of that one. And it was called Brotherhood. That was the name of I think that was the name of the song. And the lyrics were, there is a brotherhood of hope. I think that was the lyrics. But that's all I remember. But it's pretty weird. Pretty weird. And then, alright, so I'm trying to think of when the gang stalking first started. It was just normal stuff where it was people that I didn't even know, total strangers that would say things to me at the grocery store or wherever, because I really didn't leave my house very much unless I had rehearsal or unless I was doing a show or unless I needed to go to the grocery store or the library. I pretty much didn't go anywhere else. It was really just stayed home. I had this friend who was experiencing gang stalking. This is before we even knew what gang stalking was. But she was experiencing it, and she was really freaked out. And she had some really, really scary, weird experiences of, like, she had, like, 3 days of missing time when it was, and she got fired from her job because she didn't show up to work. And she woke up in her house. It was weird. Anyway, she started experiencing it before I did. And one of her friends, which I only hung out with this person one time, I started getting into bands, and I started singing, and I got a guitar, and I started songwriting. I started writing songs on my guitar, and so I was trying to get into that and to start singing in a band. And she had a friend. She was also a singer. And she had a friend, I knew her from the Song and Dance Company, and she had a friend that was a singer as well. And this friend later on was murdered. This girl, I'm not gonna tell you her name, but this girl that was murdered, there was somebody else that was murdered too. Okay, like I said, I'm sorry, this is not in order, but that weird girl that I told you about, that roommate, she was, I think, the first gang stalker, because I remember one time I went to the courthouse and she just happened to be there like a year after I had left and I wasn't living with her anymore, and she just happened to be there. And I just remember thinking that was really weird. So that was like I think that was the first gang stalker. I think she was like the first perp. And she was really mean. I mean, she would just like She reminded me of my stepmother. She would just all of a sudden start screaming at me for no reason whatsoever. And she had a gun, and she wanted me to hold her gun and all this weird crap. I'm telling you. Like, that's why later on I was like, I think they might be planning to frame me for something, because I remembered that that girl had wanted me to hold her gun. And she wanted me to say certain, it was just weird. Anyway, so I think that possibly there's been a lot of circumstances where they just plan to, they've planned to frame me for something. I just know that I'm going to die soon. I just know it. I know that they're going to find a way to kill me. And that's why I have to get this information out there. So her friend, so weird. This is really weird. And I'm going to try to explain it to you so that it makes sense. But I don't know if it's going to, because it's really weird. She had a friend, and another one of my roommates moved out. And it ended up being, after my other roommates moved out, it ended up being me, this perp girl, and her friend. Well, her friend was actually really nice. But I realize now that maybe it was sort of like a good cop, bad cop, like they were good cop, bad copping me. And because this one girl was super mean, and then the other girl would be really, really nice. And I remember when the agents were there, I think they were federal agents, when they were there interviewing that one girl, her friend, which was now living with us, was in the other room. And I went in there, and we were in the other room while this other girl had her interview with the federal agents. And when I was sitting in this room with her, she was like, "Do you want to see my photo album?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." And she was showing me this photo album of her, and she had told me that she had been raped by her school teacher when she was a child. I don't know if she was a preteen. I think she was I don't remember what age she told me that she was, but she was still in either grade school or high school, I'm not sure which, but she said that she was raped by her teacher, and that she had filed a lawsuit, and that I think that she said she was being attacked or something. Well, I remember she showed me her photo album, and I remember this one picture she showed me of her with her boyfriend. And the reason I'm telling you this is because later on, years later, I was in a homeless shelter. Because I've been homeless. I've been homeless twice. That's what these people do to you. They really do. And then people assume that you're in that position because you're a bad person. And it's actually the opposite of the truth. Because I've really worked really hard my whole life. And I have tried to do what I was supposed to do. I tried to follow the law. I did what my directors would tell me to do, what my employers would tell me to do. You could not be more wrong. I've ended up homeless twice in my life because of what these people are doing. They are attacking strong people. They're attacking moral people. They're not attacking bad people. They're not doing experiments on criminals. They are doing these experiments on people that potentially could revolt against them because they're evil. And I am revolting against them. And I will continue to revolt against them because they're evil. And they knew that about me. I mean, they knew that by the time I was 8 years old. They knew that I was the kind of person that was going to fight against them. And they're right. I am the kind of person that will fight against them. That's why they've ruined my life. That's why they've created all kinds of circumstances that could be interpreted to make me look like I'm a terrible person. They tried to get me addicted to marijuana. It was legal in California. They did do that. I'll get to that, but they purposely did that to me. Like, I was completely drug-free. I didn't drink. I didn't do any kind of drugs. And they brought this guy into my life that looked exactly the way they knew that I was attracted. And I thought it was weird. I did think it was weird. And he had this necklace that was like an Illuminati necklace. It had like the pyramid with the eye. And I don't know why I got in that relationship, but I did. I was in that relationship for like a month. I'll get into that later, but they have done so many things to turn me into a supposed just evil person, make it look like I'm an evil person, bad person, so that nobody will help me. And they've been successful at it. The only people that know that it's not true, that I'm not a bad person is God. That's it. Like, Jesus is the only one. That's why Jesus saved me, because he knew that I hadn't done anything. But everyone else, all humans that are part of this project, they all think different things about me, but they all believe that I deserve what's happening. And I believe that's probably the case of what's happening to all these other people. Because I guarantee you, the stuff that they do to me is so evil. Because some gang stalkers have said things to me. It's unbelievable. I can't even believe the stuff I hear. When I was a child and I was being abused by my stepfather and some of the other elders at that church, I believe, were involved. They convinced my mother I was possessed by the devil. So if I complained about anything to her, she would say that I was possessed by the devil, and that's why I was saying those things. Even though later on she admitted that she suspected that I was being abused. And she's not the only one that suspected it. They tell different gang stalkers different things. And I think it's like a pyramid effect. Like, there's a bunch of gang stalkers at the bottom, but then as they get to the top, it's all compartmentalized. But there are certain people that are closer to the top of the pyramid, who are more closely involved, who perhaps know that I've been experimented on since I was an infant. So telling them that I'm a whore or a drug dealer isn't going to work with them. Because they know for a fact, they see the tapes, they know that I've been experimented on since I was in utero, right? So telling those people those lies isn't going to work. So what I think they've been telling them, and part of what some of them have insinuated to me, is that some of them are told that it is a game. And others of them are told that it is only to make us stronger. Literally, some of the gang stalkers are posing as TIs on the internet. I'm sure that most of you TIs know that. You have to be very careful about who you trust. We're all just isolated for that reason, because they are so good at deceiving, and it's just evil. But anyway, there's one of them, and I don't know if you've seen this channel yet, but it's a video. It's supposedly a gang stalking video, and it's just a letter, and it's like trying to insinuate that we're being gang stalked because we're weak, and they're helping us to make us stronger. Well, that's just another lie, but that is a lie that's used on people who are maybe closer into the project, so they're not going to believe all the other lies because they know it's not true, because they know they've been doing the experiments on you since you were a baby or whatever. But they're like, they're weak, they need help, and we need to strengthen them because they had a bad childhood, and so they're weak now. So I mean, they're all told different stories, but I guarantee you that if they're like poisoning us and making us sick, it's not a game, and it's not to make us strong.